Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello, girls, and welcome to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's online coach. Today, I've got the pleasure of this wonderful woman called Brooke, who is a women's health and fitness coach. Now, before I started recording, Brooke and I have just been chit-chatting a little bit, and I did a little bit of a stalk of her Instagram, thinking she's been in the industry for quite a while, not realizing that she's only been in the industry for a couple of years. And she's a mum. She's in her 40s now, and she's pursued this fitness career from having previous businesses prior to that. Now, before I continue talking about this, I'm really interested I know our listeners will be very interested to hear from you, Brooke. If you can please tell us the background before you came into fitness. What made you want to become a fitness coach in the first place?
Sure. So I am 45 now, have had a couple of established careers. I began hairdressing after I left school and owned my own salon for 8 years prior to rolling into my next career, which was completely different from hairdressing. And I was a senior executive leader with the Body Shop and worked with a team of 400 women, helping them to establish their businesses and build their businesses around their families as well. So had that background with mentoring women, absolutely loved it. I also embarked myself on a weight loss journey in my late 30s. So I lost 25 to 30 kilos after having my two children. I think as many mums can understand, once you have your children and they become your focus, sometimes we lose sight on ourselves. So, that can come around in a lot of different things, but in me, it was weight gain. I then went through a divorce in my late 30s when I was turning 40, decided it was time to put a little bit of time back into myself, lost that 25 to 30 kilos, discovered fitness when I was 40 and picked up my first barbell when I was 40.
Yes.
Now I'm 45. I'm a bodybuilding competitor. I coach. I'm a weight management specialist and a bodybuilding comp prep coach, and work with all sorts of people within the realm of weight management, and I absolutely love it.
So cool. What a fascinating journey from being a hairdresser to a business mentor to now actually running your own business and helping people get in the best shape. How like when you got into the fitness industry, what were some of the aspects of that you were just like, this is for me, like this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I tended to stumble into it because it was exercise and losing the weight was how I was investing in myself on the other side of a divorce and having my children as well. So I'd always had a love about nutrition and studied into it a little bit when my eldest was younger. He had a few medical issues, so we had to dive into the realm of treating him with some nutrition components. So had a bit of fascination around it then, and also had a lot of friends asking me how I lost my weight as well as I progressed through my journey. And a little light bulb just went off in me. It was something that I needed to look for to find that spark to build another career after divorce and children. And I went and studied nutrition and just absolutely fell in love with it.
Nutrition is a good topic to
fascinating.
Learn. Yeah. There's so many like different ways to go about nutrition.
Absolutely. And you've hit the nail on the head there too. It's not just about one method. It's about finding what's going to work for that client and that person and working within that realm for them.
Yeah, I love that. So true. Before we start talking about clients and work and business, let's chat a little bit about your experience. You're 45, you've only been a fitness coach for a couple of years. I think this will be a really cool conversation for us to talk about for our mums out there, or for those who are just sitting on the fence line or wanting to become a fitness coach, but they're like, oh, I'm too old, I'm too this. Did any of these thoughts come to your head before you started becoming a coach?
Absolutely they did. I think when you hit 40, you have an epiphany. You either realize that it's the start of your life, or you tend to think that, you're the other side of having your children and it's just a downhill slide from there. So I also really had the whole imposter syndrome happening to me when I first started too, because I had so many people reaching out to me wanting help with what I had achieved personally with my weight loss and bodybuilding, that it took me a little bit of time just to find my own comfort factor and my own, just being confident in what I was doing and delivering as a coach too. And I think that's a big issue with the industry. Sometimes we never feel like we quite know enough or we're quite good enough. But it's just about diving in and coming from a place of serving someone with wanting to help people that will get you started in the industry.
It's so true that you mentioned, like, some of us, think we're not capable of doing certain things. Like, I've been in industry for 10 years, and every time I learn something new, and I'm like, am I dumb? How did I not know this? But like, that is the beauty of just education. You're continuously learning, and
Absolutely.
again, with research, it's just, like, moving forward all the time. So one method that worked, 5 years ago is no longer working. You're going to the next thing.
Yes.
So I think that's really cool. So once you started, do those thoughts sort of like disappear? Or are they still like around?
I think you can never be comfortable in thinking you know it all. Your education is forever ongoing, and as long as you constantly evolve with the new information and the new research that's coming out in the industry, because that's forever evolving, you need to be up to date with your knowledge and what's happening. So I'm the type of person that never gets comfortable with where I am. I constantly have to set goals for personal growth and development, and that comes down to professional development as well. So just forever evolving as a coach.
I love that. And not just as a coach, as a human being.
Definitely. Personal development, everything. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And you know what? You probably did that before you even became a fitness coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Learn a lot about that in my past career with the company I was with. And love instilling that in my clients too, is the goal setting and making sure that we have a purpose and a vision of where we're going and what we want to achieve.
I like that.
All boundaries in life.
Yeah, let's talk more about vision and goal settings. Like, I'm a huge advocate for goal settings and personal development. But sometimes I don't know about yourself, but sometimes you'll come across a certain client who just can't predict exactly what they're wanting. Let's say they want to lose weight, but they just don't know how, why, what to do. How would you instruct this with a new client?
Love that. And working with a whole realm of clients too, you need to ask a lot of questions and dig deep on where they're actually starting from. So their background with nutrition themselves, their dieting background, their whole family background and environmental factors, and then learning where they're actually starting from there so that you can help them, whether it be starting right from scratch from someone who's never done any exercise, has no knowledge on nutrition and calories or what even a caloric deficit is, and putting in place just really baby steps for them. Otherwise, you might then be looking at clients that have a bigger history when it comes to training and nutrition and understand what macros are and can track them straight off the bat. So working with that whole spectrum of clients, from those that just have no knowledge right through to those that are quite advanced in what they understand, and putting together the program that suits that individual. So for that real beginner, I would just nut it down completely about what weight loss means for them. What does that look like for them? What that's going to mean to them, because I really don't like coming from a place of losing weight just because I've been told I have to, or my doctor says I have to, or I feel I have to, or that society is putting the pressure on me to do so. And digging deep to find out what's going to be that inner spark in them to help them move forward with that journey.
I love everything about that, finding the meaning to actually wanting to achieve that goal. And like you said, there's so many external factors that as women, well, we're going to talk about women because this is a podcast for women, but for most of us, as we grow older from like teenage years into our 20s, 30s, 40s, there's some form of pressure of looking a certain way. And instead of you actually thinking for yourself, hey, I'm happy the way I am, but someone may say, ooh, have you put on weight? Like, have you like changed something? Or they comment on your appearance and you're like, shit, do I actually need to lose weight? So I love the fact that you sit down with your clients and ask them like, what's the meaning behind it? And I think that's very important for, new PTs coming into industry, but also as clients to understand, why are you wanting this goal? What's the purpose?
That's exactly right. And I really love putting the spin on exercises. We don't exercise to achieve weight loss. Exercise is a form of mental health. Exercise is a form of celebration about what our bodies can achieve, the strength we can achieve with our bodies. And as soon as we take the focus off using exercise as a form of punishment for the food we've eaten to lose weight because we just have to, and we embrace it for the enjoyment that it can bring, I think a whole switch just gets flipped with your clients, and they tend to then embrace it as a lifestyle factor and not just as a means, as a purpose to where they need to go. So it's working with them about changing their whole mindset about weight loss, weight management, whether, that's for muscle growth purposes or that's for body fat loss, and just trying to really change their mindset around the whole purpose that they might be embarking on that journey.
So powerful when someone just has like that switch and you're like, yes, they finally get it. It's not because you need to burn X amount of calories. It's because
absolutely
you love your body. You want to train, you want to feel good. And I think that's such a beautiful way of putting that together. When you went on your weight loss journey, after having your kids and before, did you lose the weight before you had the divorce or after?
It was sort of during the breakup. We'd been married for 20 years. So it was through those couple of years where you're transitioning out of your relationship and then heading into the divorce. My weight loss came about before I started exercising. And then sort of towards the end. And then I started on the whole bodybuilding journey. So, and it was just about finding myself as a mum and a woman who'd turned 40 and wanting to be the healthiest person that I could be and mentally available as well for my children as I went through that divorce stage.
So the part of you wanting to lose weight was for you to, get back to not get back to your old self, but give yourself something so you can start feeling better.
Absolutely. And I suppose a little part of it was to get back to my old self because I had gained that weight during those years of having my children. So, in my early 20s and in my late teens, I wasn't that 25 plus kilos heavier. And I wanted to get back to that as well.
So good. I love that. And once you lost weight, did you start competing or was that a little bit after?
No, I lost the weight and I started my training, and I had a lot of friends saying to me, you should compete. You're starting to look really good. And the seed just got planted. So I looked into it further. I reached out to a friend that had competed. She put me in contact with her coach. So I employed a proper bodybuilding comp prep coach. And went down the path from there, did my first comp, and it just started snowballing over the years. And then I reached out to Mark Carroll about 12 months ago, and I applied for a position with him, and he said yes, and he's now my proper coach. So
that's awesome. And how many competitions have you had? Have you been in so far?
I've prepped for 5. My last one, which was with the WBFF with Mark, was cancelled 2 weeks out. It was the Sydney show in July this year. So went through how many week prep did we do? About a 16-week prep this time. It got put back 6 weeks and then it was cancelled 2 weeks out. So actually it was about 20 weeks prep all up that I went for into that show. Anyway, these things happen. So I've embraced it.
Yeah. So are you still training with Mark?
Yes, so I'm in off season at the moment, and we will reassess which show I do next year. Originally, I was going to do April's WBFF, which means I would have started in prep right on Christmas time. So I think I will be looking at either July or October now, because we've been out of the gyms for a period of time with lockdown.
Yeah.
I really want to focus on building a building phase. So we'll look at a later date for a comp, and then Mark will start kicking my butt about 15 weeks out from there.
I love it. Off seasons are fun. I remember years ago when I competed, you get to train more for like performance base and like eat more food, and like dieting is fun, but it also has like its non-fun factors.
Absolutely. And my whole philosophy is I want to be in a caloric deficit for as less time as possible in the year.
Yeah.
And I want to be in that train like a beast phase in the gym for as long as I possibly can, because that's where my happiness is and that's what I love.
And I love that you mentioned that, because so many women, and I'm sure you've come across maybe your friends or clients that you have right now, that they think they need to be in a calorie deficit for a long period of time. And it's the complete opposite.
Absolutely, it is. And I'm going through phases with my clients too now, and I love to see them embracing their calories rising and us going into that muscle building phase, and they understand how strong they can feel, how good their body feels when they're feeding their body properly, and not just from a physical perspective, but from a mental perspective too, because hangriness honestly is a mood, and
it is. It totally is.
None of us like to be in that caloric deficit headspace for too long. Once you understand how good it feels to fuel the body properly and to be lifting in the gym as optimally as you possibly can, you don't like being in that deficit phase. You really don't.
No, it's definitely not sustainable long term.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
And that hangry state, it's no good. It's no good for anyone around us.
No, my family have learned that. Missed out on too many birthday cakes and special occasions over the years in prep. So I try to minimize it as much as I can. Yes.
Yeah, you want to be eating as much cake as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my calories get sky high when I'm in off season. They will get up around the 3,300 mark in a building phase. And I think people are absolutely astounded that absolutely gobsmacked when they look at you and they perceive you, because you've got the physique that you've worked so hard for years, that they don't understand that you can enjoy life and you can eat the food, all the foods. There should be no food restrictions. There are no good and bad foods. There are just foods, and we need to allocate our micronutrients, but we also need to allocate fun foods into our lives too. I go through the checkout at Aldi once a week, and I go through a certain lady's checkout, and there are many times she'll be putting through my ice cream, my chocolate, and she'll look at me. She said to me several times, "Surely you don't eat this." I was like, "Yeah, you'd be surprised what I actually eat." Yes, I do.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, because people perceive us as like these health freaks. You don't eat chocolate, you don't eat pizza. It's just like, I'm a human being. I eat all of the foods when I feel like eating it. And I love that you mentioned it's more like a fun food. I call them more soul foods, because if your soul's wanting chocolate, then have the goddamn chocolate.
100%. And the whole perception around clean eating really gets my goat too. It's not about over restricting yourself to achieve the weight loss or achieve that physique, because we know that that's not sustainable long term. It's about enjoying your foods and realizing that they all have a budget. We have a caloric budget, and where they might fit within that budget at the different phases that we might be going through. And if we've got, for instance, like Christmas coming up, no one should be dieting or worrying about Christmas. Christmas happens once a year. Go and enjoy it. And then it's about what you do on the other 300 days of the year, not the special occasions that are happening. So it's a whole mental mindset, and flexible dieting changed my life. If someone had have told me 10 years ago that I could achieve what I have whilst eating chocolate and enjoying all the foods, I would have laughed at them because I never understood it. I was always one of these teens that over-restricted and starved myself to try and lose weight. And now I know the balance of it all, and it's mind-blowing, and that's what I love to educate and teach my clients about too.
It's so true, because I love that you mentioned that, because I remember early in the years before I began fitness, I thought, eating 1,200 calories will just be the go-to for me. And it's just like, 10 years moving, or even more than 10 years moving forward, like I'm just like yourself, eating between like 2,500, 3,000 calories.
Yeah.
And people are just like shocked at the idea of you eating them. It's like, how can you even eat them? I was just like, well, you'll want to eat this much when you're training that hard.
Absolutely. And yes, my calories do drop when I'm in prep, but they never drop down to, the disgusting calories I used to consume as a teenager to try and lose weight. They'll gradually drop down, but they'll never get below around about that 1,500 mark. And that only ever lasts for that last week. So dieting, the whole misconception around dieting and the whole myriad of information around fat loss out in our society just needs to be overhauled. And the fact that we're building an abundance and a core base of coaches that are teaching this now, hopefully we can get some momentum happening out there, because it kills me when women talk about, these 1,000-calorie shake diets that they're on to try and starve themselves and lose weight. It kills me when they think they have to restrict certain foods and then they blow out on the weekend, and that internal self-loathing comes about because they've eaten a chocolate. That's what needs to change, and hopefully our industry and what we're doing, we can try and make some of that change come about.
Totally. And you know what? It's happening. It definitely is happening with like the better not with the better coaches, but with the better education coming out now, and more coaches are understanding that, hey, you don't have to essentially always drop your calories to lose weight. Like there's other ways of doing that, and empowering more women to eat food as well. Because, I don't know about you, but like when I was a kid, I used to, look at my mother, and she used to do all these detox diets. She used to do the shakes and do the fasting, and it was a thing back then in the 90s. And you're like, oh my God, like it's continuously repeating itself, and it's still happening now.
It is.
But like, as you said, we're going to be breaking that chain eventually, and it's just going to like click.
Yes. And the whole mentality around carbohydrates too is something else that I'm passionate about trying to change. The amount of women and clients I get in my office that get astounded that they may be able to eat bread and they can consume carbohydrates and still lose weight is just mind-blowing. So we need to change that whole perception around limiting carbohydrates to lose weight as well.
How do you go around that with the client? Let's say, you had a client, or maybe you are dealing with someone who's having these, sort of setbacks from eating carbs. Like, how would you assist them to just, go into more of a growth mindset towards that?
To move forward. I really pride myself on educating my clients around nutrition. So moving forward, they're not going to be reliant on me forever to tell them what to do. They will understand their own nutritional needs and be able to work from that. It's the whole analogy of give a man a fish and he has a meal, teach a man to fish and he will eat forever. So it comes down to the educational process. Funny that you should say that. I'm working from my desk at home. I do have an office in a gym too, but because we've been in lockdown, I've been Zooming a lot of my clients face to face. So here's one I prepared earlier. Are we up the right way?
It's upside down. There you go.
Macros. There you go.
Love that.
And talking about how evidence-based nutrition leads us to understand a caloric deficit is what will create fat loss. And regardless of what that caloric deficit looks like, it can include all your macros here, and educating that 1 gram of carbohydrates is the same in caloric content as what 1 gram of protein is. and that we also have our fats as well, and alcohol is our fourth macro. And I like to educate about alcohol too, and how we can incorporate that, into our weekly lifestyle. We can consume alcohol in moderation. It doesn't have to be cut out completely, but just understanding what that's going to mean for body composition purposes and health purposes as well. So I think it's about just coming back to numbers. I'm a real numbers nerd, complete science numbers nerd, and getting them to understand what a caloric deficit is, what macros are, what the calories around macros look like, and how carbs shouldn't be demonized. The other thing I do talk about too is using the scale as a tool for data collection, and how if they really have that emotional connection to the number on the scale, about carbs retaining 3 to 4 grams of water per gram of carbohydrate that we consume, and how that will reflect on the scale. So if someone, for instance, goes on the ketogenic diet and absolutely brags about how they lost 5 kilos in the first week, that it's water weight that they've actually lost because they've cut their carbohydrates down. It's not body fat. It's not reflective of body fat, that scale number. So it's just educating them on carbohydrate, what it does in our bodies, what that's going to look like on the scale, and that we actually need carbohydrates for brain function, muscle glycogen, energy in the gym, all of that. So
it's very useful.
Oh, it is. And I don't draw a breath in my consults. I get, like you and I are now, just chatty, so that we develop that relationship. They trust me, but I'm educating them as well.
I love that. And I think that's a very important aspect of us being as coaches, because we don't want our clients to be dependent on us. We're there for a certain period of time, and then they go venture out and do it themselves.
Absolutely. I want them to fly. I don't want them to be forever running to me to ask questions. I want them to feel confident in their own knowledge and their own health and their own nutrition to be able to move forward.
Yeah, totally. Like, we're not running a kindergarten. So
no.
we're dealing with adults every day. So I think it's really cool for people to understand that, and for our listeners who are going into the fitness and health industries, being able to educate your clients to make them understand how to make better choices, moving forward.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. It's just educating them around it and making those better choices.
I love that. Let's finish up a little bit about what's happening within your business in coaching. Like, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years?
Oh, I love that question. My business has really snowballed over the last few months. I've been focusing on my first phase of my business. I was focusing on face-to-face, in the gym, working one-on-one with those clients. Had to evolve a little bit, of course, as we went into lockdown, and I went into more of the realm of online coaching, and trying to reinvent some ways that I could really work within that online space to help people out. So my business has started to really develop Australia-wide with working with those online clients. So I try and keep all of the plates spinning. I embrace different realms of it, from face-to-face clients where I will consult in the gym, through to Zoom calls with clients online, especially if they need that accountability, education and support, through to just weekly client check-ins for my more advanced clients that just are comp prepping. So I've got a client in Hawaii comp prepping at the moment. So the weekly macro breakdown, her step targets, things like that she needs going into comp. So it does cover all different spectrums. I'm hugely excited. I'm doing a photo shoot challenge with 11 clients at the moment. They've been working really hard for 12 weeks, and we finish and celebrate in another few weeks' time with a beautiful pamper day for them. They'll get their hair and makeup done. I've got a female boudoir photographer coming in to do some photography with them, and just a celebration of what they've achieved as women over the past few months too. After that, I need to build myself a website because I've been so busy, I don't even have a proper website launched. So that is next on my list for my business. And I predict that will help move things along too. But Yeah, I'm a busy girl and I absolutely love it. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be able to build a business of this magnitude in the short time that I have at reinventing myself at 40. So
good. It just shows you that age is literally just a number.
absolutely it is. And I'm really getting a lot of women that are 40 plus reaching out to me because I think they either give up on themselves thinking that they'll never be able to achieve their fitness or weight loss goals. And to have a woman that is their age walking the talk and then being able to mentor them through it, love it. Absolutely makes my heart sing.
I think it's such a good way to just empower more women, in their 40s, to show them that, hey, you can do it too, because I've done it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And then I use my clients too that are succeeding as mentors as well. So I had a lady last year that I was prepping for comp in her early 60s. It was going to be her first comp ever. Unfortunately, it cancelled too due to COVID, but she is such a role model in our gym. You walk in there at 10 o'clock in the morning when she trains and she'll be pumping out the pull-ups like nothing else. She's just an inspirational machine. So it's leveraging my clients and their success too, to then show my future clients or women that are just have that self-doubt about them, that it can be achieved.
Totally. I love that. And you know what? Like, kudos to you for being such a role model for, women your age, but women in general as well, just showing that, hey, you don't have to stick to the one career all your life, or, you don't have to stay miserable and fat or overweight. There's always a way, it just takes one question or just one little bit of interest for you to just, move forward and take that one baby step.
Absolutely. And I have that conversation with my clients all the time. I always ask, are you happy there? Depending on what there looks like for them. Are you happy there? If you're not, let's move. Let's shake it up. Let's do something different. Let's reset some goals. Let's look at it and make the change, because I think too many people get scared to make the change and they sit in that unhappy place. And it's comfortable. It's too comfortable. I don't like being comfortable. Let's get you out of your comfort zone. Let's spread those wings and actually go and try some new things.
I love it. You're very a go-getter. It's good to see.
I am never comfortable sitting stagnant.
So good. So always wanting to do more. I love that. That's true leadership. It's empowering other people that you can do it no matter what.
And it feels good too. It really does. It helps with your mental health. It helps with your physical health. It just is a good place to be.
So good. I love that. Before we depart, Brooke, where can our listeners find you?
At this moment, not on my website because I don't have one. You can find me through Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is just instagram.com/Brooke Goodall. And the same on Facebook. If you just search in Brooke Goodall, you'll find me with my business page and my personal page on there too, or at my email address, which is brookegoodall@bigpond.com.
Awesome. I love that. Any final words for our listeners, Brooke?
I think just if you're hesitant about starting your journey, whatever that looks like, a new career journey in fitness, nutrition, or a weight loss journey, and wanting to just be the best version of yourself, reach out. And the other thing that I do here all the time is the intimidation in the gym. Honestly, if there is someone you admire in the gym that you've been watching, reach out to them and chat to them, because we don't bite and we actually love to help. So don't be afraid to just put your hand up and say, I'd love to start. And that's where the magic will start happening for you.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, for our listeners, you know what, as Brooke said, like, just put your hand up, reach out. There's never going to be the right time. It's just you going to take that step forward and just, go for your goals. I love
Absolutely.
that so much. So much. All right, girls, thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved today's episode, please screenshot and tag the Women's Fitness Academy. And then until next time, I hope you stay safe and healthy. Till next time. Bye.
Thanks, Iggy. Bye.